We've just experienced 13 months of global temperatures that have been above the 1.5 degree Paris target threshold. And what that means for the ocean is we are heading to 3 critical tipping points in terms of coral reefs, in terms of the melting of the Greenland ice sheet and the West Antarctic ice sheet. And that is going to transform our world in ways we have never seen before. And so what we need to think about is how we direct our focus to understanding that that financial return is something we're looking at on an intergenerational basis and not in terms of the next quarter or the next financial year.
Because it will be otherwise eaten up by the cost which the degradation of nature will cause.
The degradation of nature and the huge costs of the impacts of climate change, from extreme events, stranded assets, all kinds of things. I think this is part of the shift in the narrative that we need to enable, recognizing that there is this value, a lot of value at risk as a result of a changing ocean, not for the good for humans and nature, and that there are opportunities to invest where we can identify the metrics, but those metrics don't have to be perfect. They have to be sufficient in terms of a methodology to be viable, and they need to be adaptable in a changing climate, like everything needs to be. So I think that is a little bit of a shift in recognition, but now we've got to move quickly.
I think to one of your points, I completely agree in general to what you're saying, thinking about how we can instill it in the current framework we are operating in. I think the contract between the governments and the companies they are providing finance to needs to change as well. So when there is a sector receiving public finance, exactly these things need to be baked in to get really one part of our public responsibility moving and turning the dial in the incumbents, in the existing system.
I think the other thing that was really interesting was the comment by some of the lawyers who were in the room about the liability exposure of directors for not accounting for nature risk in their businesses. And there was a mention of some work in Australia and some other jurisdictions, which I think is also going to shift the dial a little bit, because all of a sudden it's internalizing that externality. If we are responsible for causing that risk, and there is some way that we are liable for that, then we're going to take notice of it. We can't just keep it out of sight and out of mind all the time.
And she also told me that the number of climate litigation has not reached its peak right now.
No.
It's further increasing. And we also will see, according to her, more litigations stemming out of nature degradation. So local societies and so on will start really getting their head around these questions, because it's putting their livelihood at risk.
I think some of the backlash over the past 8 to 12 months in terms of, there are challenges with some of the ESG metrics. Are things as green as they should be? Well, I'd be the first one to argue that they're not as green as they should be. However, we need to move, and let's move, because we just don't have time anymore. The luxury of time is gone.
We know more or less what we have to do, but we also know what we have to accept, what's not there yet and what we can't achieve. And we have to do it in a targeted way. because there is for every area a tool to achieve a goal. And here we need the literacy around. So the NGOs need to understand finance, and finance need to understand the NGOs or nature and so on. And then I think we are talking the same.
Right.
This was
Which
one
is
of
why
the,
we started ORRAA in the first place.
Exactly. And this is also where Deutsche benefited really from, to have ORRAA as someone who gives us the knowledge about these things. I would never have thought that we are talking so much nature and ocean since we are doing with ORRAA. And this is for us a financial risk as well as a financial opportunity, not to taking this into account or to take this into account.
Right.
So I think it was really productive today.